And it's a very good morning to the Gelding on Melbourne Cup Day, the race that stops a nation, Gelding, and it's a 10-race program. So we've got one more race starting at 10:45. Gelding, got to get up early.
Good morning, Professor. Good morning, listeners. Yes, here we are, early Tuesday, Professor. You've got to be quick to get out to the first race at 10:45. How many other race meetings start at 10:45, Professor?
Not many that I've seen, Gelding.
All right. Bit of a gap between race 6 and race 7?
Yes, that's just to allow people to drink in the air of the forthcoming Melbourne Cup, Gelding.
Or got nothing to do with the committee trying to feel like they're important and get involved in the day by walking around or thinking some stupid way for the cup to be delivered to them so they can put some gloves on and just smile and be on national TV?
Oh,
or
Gelding.
Is that too cynical?
Well, cynicism born out of experience, Gelding.
Well, Professor, I have a look. You got race 6 at 1:55 and race 8 at 10:04. So, you've got a break there of almost 2 hours, of which you're running one race.
Well, Gelding, you've got to give the patrons time to get to the bar and get back.
What, to pay overs?
All right.
Professor.
Gelding,
anyway,
last race is at 5:15, so be able to get home hopefully get home before 6 if you catch the train on time. The feature race
good
7.
luck.
Feature race, Gelding, race 7, the Melbourne Cup, over 3,200 metres. It's a Group 1, 3-year-olds plus 8.4 million. Gelding, where does that rank in the level of prize money? Shouldn't the race that stops a nation have the most prize money?
You would have thought so, Professor, but I do like the amount. The total is 8,410,000. Now, Peter V'landys only last Saturday had a race only for 4-year-olds worth 10 million. Surely with the turnover that the VRC receives and Racing Victoria receives from the Melbourne Cup, Professor, because everyone has a bet in the Melbourne Cup, don't they?
Yes.
Surely they could make it the race of Australia. It's been publicised that, so let's up the prize money, Professor. You would think it could be 15 million, couldn't it? 10 million to the winner.
Would have thought so, Gelding. Would have thought it should have been. Would have thought that it should be way more than 8.4 million.
Yeah, Professor. I've got. You're talking. I'm just looking at some of the other races, but there's a few races there, but most of them are 150,000 races, Professor. Couple at 200. But yeah, I would have thought a couple at 175,000. I would have thought you got prize money there probably of 10 million. How many will be on the track tomorrow? 70,000.
Yeah,
paying a minimum of $80 probably to get on the track, if not more. If you're in one of the dining areas, you're probably paying close to 400 or 500. To be on track. So I would have thought that they're going to make a lot of money, and let's invest in the race. Yeah,
let's invest in the race, Gelding. They'll need to, I think, after this year, because it's certainly found wanting when you look at some of the other races that are going around, especially in New South Wales. Anyway.
Well, Professor, have a look at this. Right, I've got yesterday's paper in front of me for the form guides and all that. And on the front page, on the 7th of November, which is tomorrow, we're advertising the big dance in New South Wales with 3 million prize money. Come join the party at Royal Randwick. Like, I don't know whether you can see that, Professor, but why aren't the VRC on the front foot?
Well, Good question, Gelding. Good
Well, I
question.
don't know. Anyway, let's try and find a winner after what was a torrid day on Derby Day, Professor. But at least we got the winner of the Derby.
Yes, Gelding. The track's rated a good 4, but punters should take note that if the track dries out, could very well start a good 3. The rail's out 2 metres for the entire circuit, Gelding, so 6 feet, 2 metres further out than it was in the true position. Now, we both decided that it was a front runner's track. You had to be leading. Some of the commentators disagreed with that. Thought it was a fair track. I thought there was a fair amount of bias to it, Gelding.
Professor, just pat yourself on the back. You know what? You read it properly. You text me after the first. You said leaders track. You know, bit of 6 of the 9 races. So 66.6 of the races were won by horses that at the 800 metre mark were first or second. Does that tell you it's not a leaders track?
It tells you it's a leaders track, Gelding. It also tells you there's a bit of bias there.
Yeah. Very few horses made ground from out wide, which, again, has me completely confused about tomorrow because, as you know, I love the Flemington racetrack and it's normally nice and fair, but what's going to change in 4 days, Professor? We might get rain. Rain's tipped for about the start of the Melbourne Cup. Now, what happens if that doesn't come? We get 29 degrees. The track's going to be rock hard and a good 3 easily, Professor, no matter how much water they put on. And I'm sure the committee's out there supervising where to put the water. But anyway, but if the rain comes at 2 o'clock and it rains for an hour before the race, Professor, may be a different type of track. So, look, we're working on a good 3 track, I suppose, in the way that we do our assessment. So we will put the listeners on notice that we're working on a good 3 and horses that have good 3 ability.
All right, Gelding, your tips for the big race day.
Well, Professor, we'll start off with the Cup. And it's a bit of a combined choice, this one, for us. Look, we've both picked about 5 horses in the race. We've gone number 3 without a fight, around about the $6 now. It's lucky enough to get $7.50 the other day. So that's working on the fact that this horse has won 3 of its last 4 starts, had a fantastic winter carnival in Brisbane, has been kept fresh by the Freedman stable. You know, a 3rd start this campaign, Professor, into a Melbourne Cup. This is after it won a brutal Caulfield Cup, outstayed all of them in a fast run race. Professor, this horse has come over from Europe and has just been absolutely sensational. No reason not to stay with it, Professor. But the question mark is we've gone this horse because it likes a good track. So we're backing it because it's a good 3. If the rain comes, be very, very careful because it cannot handle any give in the track. You know, the others that we're talking about, the band, Professor, you know, if you listen to everyone, this horse is already across the line. You know, but I've heard that before on a lot of things. A lot of horses have come out here and are going to just absolutely towel the other ones up, but it hasn't happened. Look, if it does, it's certainly got the form to do it, got the rider, got the trainer, but you know, there's plenty of others in there, Professor. We both like Gold Trip. I like Solcombe. You liked a couple down the bottom there, Professor, in Military Mission and Future History. So look, back what you like, but our tip for the listeners is Without a Fight.
And the other horse you like, Gelding, for tomorrow?
The other horse, Professor, going early in the day. Later in the day, we've got full capacity fields, Professor. So, look, very hard to pick winners in them. I've gone race 3, horse 2, Aztec State, trained by the very much informed Hayes brothers, again ridden by Mark Zara. This horse has had 2 starts for a win and a Bendigo maiden. Then Professor went very close at Caulfield, beaten by Mojo's Dessert and Sub Rising. So look, the way the Hayes brothers are training at the moment, the way Zara is riding Professor in a 10-horse field rather than a maximum size field.
Yep.
I think we may be able to get away with an early winner in Aztec State. And you like Professor?
Yeah, Gelding, I'm just going shortly after you and adopting the same idea of picking in fields that aren't all that large. Race 4, the Schwepper-Vessens Plate, a 1,000-metre race for 3-year-olds in open company. I like in this one, Gelding, horse number 3, Stanislaus, coming out of Barrier 1, had 8 starts for 3 wins and a placing, so it's got a 38% win rate, a 50% place rate. It won at Rose Hill over 1,100 metres last month, Gelding. It's also won over this distance of 1,000 metres. It likes to settle midfield, so that there needs to be a different pattern of racing if I'm going to feel very comfortable as they're coming up the straight, Gelding. It's got Damien Lane in the saddle. He's in terrific form at the moment. 14% career run win rate, but over the last 50, Gelding, 20% if you don't mind.
Wow.
And the Blue Army, great combination there. Damien Lane and the Blue Army, Gelding. James Cummings doing especially well. And as we know, they pick races for their horses, Gelding, and I think Stanislaus has been picked for this one.
Professor, I do like your tip in this one, as you said. The reason behind that is the Blue Army have so many horses that they just seem to put them in their class, Professor, and they look for winnable races. I reckon the danger to it may be its stablemate, number 1, Professor.
Yes, Gelding.
So,
I did look at that one.
Okay. And maybe we might take the Quinella there, Professor.
Yeah, we will. We'll tell the listeners or the viewers to do that. And Gelding, that's a horse we've been on before, number 1.
Very much so. Or maybe throw the field in to run third, Professor. Take 3 and 1 in the field.
Well, there you go, Gelding. 3 and 1 in the field and 1 and 3 in the field.
I know, Professor. I like your tip.
Yeah.
As you said, a lot back in the Blue Army. And your second tip?
Yes, Gelding.
A bit of theory gone into this one, has it?
Yes, another one of the Professor's theories, Gelding. Race 5, the Macca's Run, over 2,800 metres, benchmark 96. I see you got a bit of a grin there, Gelding.
Oh, well, Professor, you love a theory. You love a theory from the Professor.
Well, I thought
there is logic behind it, though.
There is logic behind it, Gelding. If this horse can get up, it's currently showing $14 fixed.
Oh.
I'd suggest you take that because I think it'll start a lot shorter than that tomorrow and showing $3.50 to the place. So for each way betters, Gelding, it could be a very nice start to Cup Day for them.
Or a bit more for the wallpaper
for Schooner.
Schooner?
Yeah, it could well be. Dean from Traralgon, that's right.
Dean from Traralgon. All aboard?
Well, Gelding, my theory behind it is this. It won at the last start at Geelong. The favourite in this race, Mr. Waterville, ran in the Group 3 Geelong Cup on the same day. They ran over the same distance, and King's Crossing ran a faster time to win its race than Mr. Waterville did to run 4th in the Cup. And Waterville was beaten by the very shortest of margins. So
yes,
it ran a faster time. So it can run just as fast as the favourite. I think if it can run just as fast as the favourite, I like it, Gelding.
And drops significantly in weight, Professor.
Yes. So, Damien Lane in the saddle.
3.5 kilos.
Damien Lane in the saddle. Danny O'Brien training. Danny O'Brien in great form. 14% career win rate. 18% over the last 50. So you've got the jockey in form, the trainer in form, a horse that can run fast in a 2,800 metre race. I like it.
And D Lane riding at 54 kgs, Professor.
Yes.
Very light.
Very light. He won't be eating too much overnight, Gelding.
No, he might be having the brown rice, Professor, or he might be eating there. But he is our leading jockey, Professor.
He is, Gelding. He is. So I've gone for a Damien Lane double there.
Yes, and I've got a Mark Zara double.
There you go. Well, hopefully they have good fortune on the Cup day.
And I do notice, Professor, with the weights in a completely off kind of Broadway on this, Melbourne Cup weights, like we've only got 5 horses with 55 kg or more, and we've got 2 international jockeys riding those horses, and Joe McDonald from New South Wales. So Damien Lane and Blake Shin, our leading jockeys, aren't riding in the Melbourne Cup.
No.
Because obviously, the weights, they couldn't make the weights of a lot of the lower horses.
Yeah. All right, well, my 2, Gelding, are race 4, horse 3, Stanislaus, and race 5, horse 5, King's Crossing. Now let's turn to the Professor's Parlay. Gelding, Amelia's Jewel got mugged. Have you seen the replay of that race?
Yes, Professor. And if you listen to Damien Lane's comments, he said I was lucky to come out alive.
Exactly.
I suppose that happens in a $10 million race, Professor.
Gelding, there was the gap there.
We did say one of the dangers got up.
Yes, Gelding, we did. But Gelding, there was the gap to shoot through.
Am I taking a long bow there?
Oh, well, there was a gap to shoot through there for Damien Lane. He definitely had the gap. He wasn't expecting the horse on his left-hand side to veer into his running lane.
But to do a right-hand turn.
Well, almost a right-hand turn. Yeah, so I've just got my notes after the race were mugged in brackets. Yeah, mugged in the straight.
Oh, well, we've let the Professor's Parlay down with the horse bet this week. Normally we've done well. How'd we go in the other 2 leagues?
Manchester City and the Cleveland Browns, thumbs up, Gelding. Both got up.
2 out of 3.
Yeah. As Meatloaf said, that ain't bad.
Well, if you're following them and, you're following all the tips, you've got 2 winners. But let's try and get the Professor's Parlay up on Cup Day, Professor.
That'd be terrific,
Gelding. Some juicy odds. So
yep.
What have we decided with the horse?
All right. The agreed bet of the day for the Melbourne Cup, Gelding, is race 7, horse 3 without a fight. And let's parlay that into the Premier League. I know you'll be enjoying that at the moment. We've had a couple of really good results. Arsenal.
My tongue's starting to bleed. I've just bit it.
Arsenal playing at home to beat Burnley. Arsenal 4th. They've won 7 from 11, a plus 14 goal difference. Burnley 19th out of 20 in the Premier League, Gelding. They've only had 1 win, minus 19 goal difference. The bookies think that if Burnley are going to get up, they're going to pay $18 the win, and for a draw at $7.50. So I like Arsenal at home at $1.14. And let's parlay that into the Dallas Cowboys, who were very unlucky today against the Philadelphia Eagles. They're playing the New York Giants. The Dallas Cowboys at home, currently scoring 27.5 per game, Gelding. The New York Giants only scoring 11.22 points per game over 9 matches, Gelding. And as we keep saying in the NFL, if you're only scoring 11 points a game, you're not winning.
You're not winning.
No, you're not
winning. You're not winning, are you, Professor?
No, so they're playing at home. The bookies have got the Cowboys at 14.5 points to the better. So that's over 2 touchdowns. The win parlay showing 8-1, Gelding. The place parlay showing 3-1. So very juicy odds indeed.
Beautiful odds, Professor. That'll get us back on board.
It will, Gelding. It'll get us back on board. The other thing, Gelding, that I like is that we've got another that's racing this week for Oaks Day.
Oaks Day, Professor. Well, we've got 10 races to play with. Hopefully, we've given the listeners some good advice to hopefully steer them into a few of these winners, Professor. So we'll be hopefully playing with their money come Oaks Day.
Yes, Gelding, until Oaks Day, it's good luck.
And good punting.